To the next generation of recruits.
To the next generation of recruits.
To the next generation of recruits.
You've decided to dedicate your life to the service of this nation. Having served for 23 years of my life, I'm extremely proud of you.
But the sad truth is, you're more likely to be sexually assaulted by a fellow service member than be shot by an enemy at war.
My assault occurred.
2 sexual assaults and...
They started sodomizing me.
Thousands of service members report being raped and sexually assaulted each year, but only a fraction of those cases end in a conviction.
The problem is, almost all the authority lies in the hands of commanders.
It's like you have to tell your boss that you were raped by a colleague, and then they have the power to decide whether to dole out justice.
This needs to change. It's time for sexual assault cases
to be handled by specialized, independent military prosecutors.
Outside the chain of command.
Outside the chain of command.
Outside the chain of command. I joined the military because I was growing up in a really poor neighborhood and I wanted to give my son a better life. I was in my barracks room. A sergeant came up to my door. He pushed his way into the room and he raped me. I went up to my team leader, I went up to my squad leader, I tried to talk to my platoon sergeant about it. I went up my chain of command and I was shut down at every turn. They have no loyalty to me. I had just gotten there. They were never gonna take my side. I had finally gotten approved to move out of the barracks room. I was getting ready to live with my son. An officer showed up at my front door. He threw me on my bed and violently raped me. This assault left me with cuts. It left me with bruises. I was bleeding. Once he finished, he made sure to let me know that he was an officer and that even if I did report it, I'd be wasting my time. All we can do is tell our chain of command, which is essentially our boss, and hope that he either believes us or he cares enough about us as a person.
Recruits. Your success in the military depends on your ability to understand the chain of command. So let me explain how it works through a hypothetical scenario. You're being sexually harassed at work by one of your colleagues. What do? Well, normally you'd probably make a complaint with HR, but this is a special company that doesn't have an HR. Actually, they specifically have rules that all complaints must be made to the employee's manager, who will investigate the misconduct and determine if any punishment is necessary. But there's a problem. Your boss really likes that colleague of yours. They've worked together for a long time, and you see them getting drinks together quite often. So you consider taking the complaint to your boss's boss, but you don't know him, and he's also friends with your boss. And the rules strongly discourage you from going to the police. To make matters worse, imagine if the company you work for has you stationed in a faraway country and the only people there are you, your colleagues, and your boss. Or to make matters even worse, imagine if the harassment's coming from your boss. Imagine you get raped. At any normal American company, this would be unacceptable. But in the American military, this is the status quo. This is how the chain of command works.
7 months into serving, I was assaulted by somebody I thought I could trust. They took advantage of me while I was unconscious and unable to consent.
22 months ago, a man I had just met raped me in a dark alley. Today, he was tried in a military court-martial and found not guilty.
Out of the 20,500 sexual assaults in fiscal year 18, only 108 people were actually convicted.
He said, you know, this guy's a really good sailor. Do you want to ruin his career?
They found his DNA inside my rape kit. He was still found not guilty.
During my time as a prosecutor, I had no ability to make sure that cases actually got to trial. I would routinely see commanders, supervisors, co-workers intimidate the victims.
When I asked her, do you want to see the bruises? She wrote me up for disrespect.
And every single time I complained, the assaults escalated worse. I'd be waking up with them pulling my clothes off me, trying to shove their penis in my anus.
If I knew that I was gonna get justice, I absolutely would have stayed in the military.
I loved the Air Force. I'm third generation, but I knew I had to leave. The chain of command military justice process is not delivering justice.
I have been so torn about taking that decision-making authority away from the chain of command.
The senators were listening to generals and admirals who were promising that they would solve the problems, saying if you were to do this, it would destroy the chain of command and good order and discipline.
Removing commanders, making commanders less responsible and less accountable will not work. It will undermine the readiness of the force. It will inhibit our commanders' ability to shape the climate and discipline of our units.
As a former commander in the National Guard, I do believe our chain of command should have the authority to discipline. So for the past 6 years, I've worked heavily on a number of efforts that I had hoped would curb military sexual assault, and it hasn't. So I do think it's time to do something different. Now, as a senator and wearing a slightly different uniform, I am supporting sending sexual assault cases to a specialized military prosecutor outside of the chain of command.
It is time we take new action.
There's currently a bill in Congress that would remove the prosecution of sexual assault from the chain of command.
What the bill will do is, one is to improve the prosecution. The second line of effort is prevention.
It increases security on our bases and stations. It trains leaders from the top to the bottom on developing a better command climate.
But there are still some senators that don't support this bill.
As a combat veteran and a survivor of sexual assault, I want to know that I did everything I could to support all of our service members.
This is going to make the military a better place.
It's time for sexual assault cases to be handled outside the chain of command.